What's it like being back here? What do you remember about being in this city?
I've always loved Chicago.
Oh, hold on. Excuse me.
I've always loved Chicago. I went to Northwestern Theater School.
Journalism. I went to journalism school at Northwestern. Yeah, here you go.
I left after 1 year, but anyway, I love Chicago.
It's not as cold this time.
Yeah.
We filmed it in the winter. It was freezing. I have a memory that it was like the coldest winter they had in 50 years or something like that. But it was brutally cold. So it's much better to be here in August.
Yeah, as far as cold goes, I remember I had to, this is the thing about playing bad guys. You're always running through the streets in the middle of the night while the stars are home in a warm bed. And this was definitely true for me. And I can remember running through the streets and then laying in agony for 15 minutes at the bottom, just moaning because my lungs were burned from cold. That's how cold it was. The thing is, I remember that, and I remember one other thing about Chicago. This was a long time ago, and that was the museum, the Academy of Art Museum. It shocked me at how good it was.
It's famous.
And I was expecting, a metropolitan museum, but I saw stuff there that really, there were a couple of Degas, and I don't know, there was, the big room with the floor-to-ceiling diptychs and everything. It just blew me away. So those two things I remember. I kind of remember I did a movie here, but that's minor,
I have a question about the casting of Brad and Tom. I think I can ask this. Was his voice part of why you cast him as the actual guy?
No, it was because Brad had played the bad guy in Fatal Beauty with Whoopi Goldberg, which I had directed
a great movie
before I
by the way.
did this.
And so were you, Brad? Did you do some preparation? You already had the part live. Was your voice different when you were doing Chucky? Did you try to make it more animated?
I'm going to be really honest with you. I have no idea what was going through my head. It was a long time ago. I did work on a Chicago accent because it was Chicago, so I wanted a little bit of a rasp. And I do remember thinking something about not playing. Charles Lee Ray was a misogynist, killer of women, and I do remember feeling like I needed to push him a little bit away from that feeling, and so that he didn't become a rapist. He just became a murdering creature. I wanted to make him extremely pissed off. I remember feeling that was somehow important.
Yeah, Brad is an Academy, nominee Academy Award character actor. And he's just great. So, yes. The interesting story is about the voice, which is what it's become now. Famous for is Chucky's voice. Not to say anything against the acting, but the voice work has become worldwide at what he's done with Chucky's voice. So, and let's see, when I started in post on that, first I had to get the electric voice for the doll, when it was the good guy doll, and I put a filter on that to get that electric quality. And then I thought, well, I'll continue that with Chucky all the way through. And I know I decided not to do that when he came in and started to perform. But I had gone through other people, and I don't think you were there. You weren't available or something.
Yeah, no. I was shooting the Secret Room.
Okay, so I didn't have Chucky's voice. I know that I tried a terrific actress. In the Clint Eastwood movie where he's the DJ and the woman goes crazy over him and attacks him. Play Misty for me. Whoever the
Jessica
woman.
Walter.
Jessica Walters. They had Jessica Walters in, and I tried her voice with Chucky. If you can imagine that. And I had other people, and I was also treating it with various, trying to get that electric. Then you came in, and we had a lot of fun. What he got was the wickedness. He got the wicked joy that Chucky had, and it was because of that little scene in the elevator works so well. That's why that's such a huge laugh. That's the voice. Anyway, it worked out obviously extremely well.
So you tried putting filters on it, putting like an electronic filter on his voice, and it
Yeah, I
didn't
did,
work
but it impeded the performance.
Yeah.
I can't remember if it killed it or not,
Yeah.
but it worked better without any kind of filter on it.
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
The thing I guess I learned from that, because I was doing Mississippi Burning, and I remember looking at what was, because I heard some of the vocal work before, and my feeling is that bottom line horror comes from this idea of a monster. You got to have a monster. You don't have a horror film if you don't have a monster. And a monster, my next door neighbor who loved horror films, said a monster is someone who is out to get you, with whom you cannot negotiate. You're prey, basically. And so that's what Chucky needed to be, and I put it to myself this way: Chucky needed to be the creature who will turn a living, breathing human being into a piece of meat. And if he's that, he can be funny, he can be anything, but he has to be that first.
Yeah, you may not remember it now, but when you're introduced to Charles Lee Ray, that's the opening hook. After you don't even know what's going on, but you know somehow this terrible killer has gotten itself in the body of that doll. And the minute that doll is sold to the mother and she gives it to the little boy, you ain't going nowhere. And it starts out with the electronic voice of the doll, and then his voice slowly comes in, as I remember. And it's just his voice alone coming in off the doll's voice it's a shiver in itself.
I want to jump in here because, Tom, this is something we've talked about before. But for me, the thing that I always connected with Child's Play and with Fright Night is the fact that you made these really great stories about single parents sort of navigating this world with these kids, and a lot of that comes from, Alex as Andy in this movie. Can you guys talk about sort of that relationship that you guys had? Because you're putting this little boy through so much torment in this, and there's a lot of really great kid performances in horror, but I think Alex as Andy, I think you're one of the best that we've ever had. Like, I think you and Daniel Harris in Hollywood 4 is like, those are the two of the best we've ever seen. And I was wondering if you could talk about sort of that.
That's an Alex question, because it's hard to believe now, but he's only 6 years old. And he was going through difficult times. Alex, it's yours.
Yeah, it was the first real film that I ever did. It was the first real role that I had. I taught myself how to read with that script, reading it over and over again. I had it all memorized, every line, all my lines, all everybody else's lines. And then they went and did revisions on the script, which was devastating for me. But, I was very smart at 6 years old, so I knew what I needed to do with that. I knew that the innocence of that character was kind of crucial to it being as scary as it could possibly be. And Tom was very, very specific about what he wanted from me. And I was 6, so I don't remember all of it that well. But the line at the end, where I say, "This is the end, friend," and then I set him on fire, I I remember Tom very specifically had wanted me to say it exactly as I did, ended up saying it in the film. And when I nailed it, he grabbed me and threw me up in the air like, "You did it! You did it!" He was so excited. And then I remember him being pissed off and cursing a lot and needing to be taken off the set until Tom calmed down quite a bit. But the relationship that
I missed that. Maybe thankfully I missed that.
No, but that was my first actor-director relationship
Well, yeah,
that I ever had.
Very, yeah, extremely intense.
Yeah.
Look, you can't act innocent. You either are or you aren't.
Yeah.
And he was. I mean, I can't. I saw so many children. I mean, he doesn't remember now, but I got down under a table and played toys with him. You know, and it was just there, and there was something else going on too. So there was even at 6 years old, you could watch him, and something was going on behind the eyes. 6-year-old kid. And the innocence was there.
Yeah, I mean,
Did I yell at you for something?
no, not at me. Just in general, if you were swearing a lot and intense,
Oh, yeah.
I had to get off the set. You know.
Yeah.
I heard him swear all the time, but that was
Well, you have no.
I wasn't there.
You have no idea how cold it was. We kept the cameras in the camera truck, and we changed them out every 20 minutes because it was so cold it was freezing the oil in the cameras. And it was locking up my cameras.
No, I think it's a great thing that your voice was there, though, because it really gave something better to act to. If I was listening to some script lady read those lines,
Very hard.
it wouldn't have worked at all. Maybe, I don't know. It was important.
I had a vision with that film. Well, I knew dramatically how I wanted it to work,
Yeah,
and it did.
it did.
Fucking amazing.
That's why we're here 30 years later.
Yeah, I mean, incredible. Thank you. These are brilliant actors. You know, you look at performances.
I think the last thing I want to ask before we bring in a couple more quick guests is just walking around here the last few hours and seeing so many people carrying this doll around, and it is one of the most iconic images in a horror film I think ever. I want to know about how you settled on this design, like who came up with the idea. I mean, I understand you making him redhead because redheads are the demon's spawn. So, but I mean, other than that, like, how did you just sort of design what he was going to look like and how he was going to change? And I want to know just like the initial, like, getting.
I got into it because of My Buddy. Anybody remember the My Buddy doll?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's what got me into it, and I crossed My Buddy with a Raggedy Andy. You know, and you had all these merchandising opportunities built into the film, and so they had to be happy colors, and he had to go from being from being
Yeah, good guy.
sweet and lovely, and
A good guy to a bad guy.
That's right. So so it had to have things in the face that I could darken, and there had to be something very scary, and the red hair is part of it. But if you look at it's very, very, how do you describe it? I don't know. You knew the doll would be a huge commercial hit. It was believable as that in terms of the design, the happy design.
Yeah.
And then going to hell from there.
Yet they still never marketed actual good guy dolls, which is amazing.
Well, they split the rights.
Yeah.
They split the rights.
That had a lot to do with it.
But anyway, I should also say we wouldn't, to give a nod of credit, we wouldn't be here talking about this if it wasn't for the Chucky series that Mancini does.
Yeah.
So, yeah, because it's kept spreading as an image. Chucky, no, I have no clue. None.
The thing about My Buddy dolls that I think is funny too is that after Chucky, everybody destroyed their My Buddy dolls. They ripped their heads off and they buried them in their backyard and they went out of business. So in a sense, Chucky killed My Buddy.
There was nothing that Chucky would not destroy in 1988. We're going to go ahead and bring up a few lovely ladies from the Chucky and Child's Play series. We've got Christine Elise. here representing the fairer sex, I'm gonna jump in with this. Okay, first of all, who hasn't seen Cult of Chucky? Has everybody seen Cult of Chucky? Okay, I'm really sorry. We're gonna have to spoil stuff because we got stuff to discuss here. Because we were told that we we're going to talk about the future of where Chucky is going, and clearly we leave things on a very bold mark. In terms of your character, Christine comes in, and we've got Alex. So for you guys who are the veterans of this franchise, how cool was it, you know, to be able to be incorporated back into this series and done in such a really clever and thoughtful way? I'll give this over to you.
He's fucking awesome. I was mad I wasn't in Child's Play 3. Yeah, dead. I was mad that I wasn't in Child's Play 3, so I've been bitter for a long time. So it was really good to come back, and that's just, I mean, who wouldn't want to come back? This is awesome, right?
Yeah. Alex, how about for you?
Yeah, I watched, well, when 3 came out, when 3 was being made, I was very disappointed that I wasn't going to be in it also, and that my character still was. So that was tough. And then in high school, Bride of Chucky came out, and it was a really big deal, and I had nothing to do with it. So that was tough. And then
Bitter
seeing
party of
Chucky,
two.
yeah. And then became good friends again with Don Mancini, who I idolized when I was a kid because he had a great job and a cool car, so then when I became close with him again, he knew very much that I would love to be a part of it. And then when news of Curse came out, he knew very well that I would have loved an opportunity to, you know, come back to that character, especially since I don't really act much anymore. So yeah, when he gave me the call and he told me that he wrote something for me. He told me, you know, don't skip to the end, read the entire thing,
And did you?
I did. I didn't skip to the end. No, I read the whole thing. And you skipped. I didn't though. And then I got to go there and fly there and shoot that scene, and then I had to lie to everybody about it for a year because it was supposed to be a surprise. So I was thrilled and appreciative, and yeah.
Now, Fiona, I have to. I'm sorry. Yes, go ahead. Okay, I was just gonna say. So I have to admit and geek out a little bit that when Cult of Chucky finished with that final shot with, you know, you and Jennifer, I probably jumped out of my couch and was like screamed like F yeah, because I was so excited, because I think what's really cool about this series, like, Chucky is fantastic. Charles Lee Ray has been this driving force, and now the women are getting this moment, and I think that's so freaking cool. First of all, can you talk about that, and then also getting to be able to sort of channel your dad in a way? It has to be really surreal.
I thought you were going to ask me what it's like to make out with Jennifer Tilly, which is, I think, like the number one
next
question of
question
my
I
life.
have.
It's great. I hope everybody gets a chance to do it at some point in their life. It was
So do we.
it was negative 40 degrees in Winnipeg during all of that, and I'm supposed to be barefoot walking out of the hospital. It was written that way, but it was so cold it was literally illegal. They were like, we can't possibly get a permit for you to be outside with no shoes on for more than, it was like 4 seconds, and I could lose a toe or something. So there's that detail. I hope nobody noticed in it that I was shaking in the scenes. And what was your other question?
Being able to sort of channel your dad at the
Yeah,
end
it was
too.
cool. It was cool. What'd you think, Pop? I don't know. Did I get your laugh down?
How did you feel
I
about
guess
your
that was the question.
about Fiona being able to play?
yeah.
Yeah, I just, you know, I remember you coming to, when I was doing the voice and you popping in and I was screaming because I was being burned to death. And this was an ADR and you running away and hiding. So somewhere deep down there, it was a chance to let some of that out.
It was meant to be, yeah.
No wonder I was such an abusive parent.
It all pays off. I actually wasn't totally sure if that memory was real. I was a little scared that it was fabricated. You know how you could do that? But it was real, and I hid. Basically, I walked into my dad doing ADR, and I must have been 7. or 6. And he was in a booth and he was screaming like he was dying. Like screaming in agony. And I think I ran and hid and they had to find me. And now I'm Charles Lee Ray and I'm screaming in agony. It's beautiful. Life is a beautiful thing.
This is the damage you do to kids in the film. I didn't know that. 7 years old, you were there when we were doing that?
Younger.
Then, okay.
Right, or 6 or something? I don't know. Just kidding,
I
I'm
think one of the
25.
hardest things in the world is to be a kid who works and then to grow up and be an adult. And I think that because I listened to all of Roddy McDowell's stories. Because Roddy won an Academy Award at 8 years old.
There you go.
Think about that. How do you top that at 8 years old?
What have you done?
I know we're going to turn it over to the audience in a second, but for those of you looking at where this goes in the future, I know we've got a different movie, we've got a TV series. I'm not sure, like, necessarily what the game plan is, but for you guys, where would you like to see your characters going? I know, there's nothing you could probably say about in terms of what you do know, but in your mind, where's the ideal place you would see your characters go into the future?
I'm sorry, can I jump on this? So I don't know how, we've actually never discussed this, but I don't want to be Nika anymore. I want to be Charles E. Ray. Is that okay? Fran, whose
No.
career I'm stealing?
You can't take me from you.
All right, we'll discuss later. How about you?
I actually talked to Don. Alex and I both are friends with Don in real life too, and so we both get to have his ear a bit. And so when he told me I was coming back, there were a bunch of different ideas of what would happen with my character. The earlier ones maybe even involved my character dying, which was not my ideal situation. But I thought she should be an assassin, that she should come back and having her time in between from leaving 2 to coming back in Cult, that she should have been an assassin in the interim. And I feel like that's sort of possible for her appearance in her Black Panther gear in Child's Play 2, the black leather hat that was actually my hat, same hat in Cult too. So I like that.
Is my dispense out?
Okay, bye.
Switch mic.
We just think it's your turn.
Whose turn?
Fiona. Being edited. I don't know what just happened.
I don't know.
We don't know what's going on either. We're glad we made the film, so we're all here.
Your character to become?
Yeah, well, this television series idea I think is fantastic. I think that Cult opened up a lot of new stories and new possibilities, and Chucky has taken over several dolls, and Fiona and Anika.
And the world.
And I hope I get to kill them all.
Excellent. We are looking forward to watching you do it too. We have time for 2 questions from the audience. If you have a question, and make sure it's awesome. No pressure. We will run right over to you. And I think it's
All right. I hold the mic.
Oh, okay, sorry. Christina Elise, you're wonderful. I love you from everything. Beverly Hills 90210, Child's Play 2, Cult of Chucky. I hope you come back and kick ass because you were wonderful at the end. I was so shocked and surprised and happy that you came back on. Alex Vincent, I want to go ahead and ask you a question. Do you think Catherine Hicks and Chris Sarandon might come back also to replay their parts as well?
I don't know. It's kind of a 2-part question because it's will Karen and Mike have a reason to come back into the franchise, and then would Catherine or Chris want to do that? So I really don't know at all. I couldn't even give you an answer because I have no idea. That's all on Don Mancini and them, and what Don decides he wants to happen next. I think that would be fun, but I don't know.
Right here.
And thank you.
You're welcome.
This is for each of you. Which, obviously, aside from part 1, which is your least and most favorites of the sequels?
Oh, jeez.
I'll answer right away. I think Cult is the best of the whole franchise. I love where it ended up. I love how brave Don Mancini has been through the whole franchise and changing it up and taking risks and reinventing it all the time while always staying true to every character he invented. Every character is still alive and respected in every subsequent installment. And fucking Mike. That I think Cult, for my money, Cult's the best of the franchise so far.
Come on, people.
I love Curse and Cult also. I think if I had to pick a favorite sequel since the first film would be Child's Play 2, but I do love the new ones very much. And my least favorite is Part 3.
Ditto.
Agreed.
Yeah, I have to. My favorite is Bribe, just because I felt the script was so consistent with itself, and it was so exactly what that type of. That's when horror became very self-referential, and I thought Don Mancini did that in such a brilliant way. Using Bride of Frankenstein as a catalyst to create this new and different story. And I thought Jennifer Tilly's character was really fun, and also it was the first time I wasn't alone in the recording studio, and it was really nice to have somebody when I was doing the voices to really bounce off. You know, I think Jennifer added a huge amount to the franchise. And anyway, my favorite was Bride. Although I love all of Fiona's parts.
Yeah, thanks, Dad.
Well, how many of you are here all weekend? Well, so are we. So if you didn't get to ask a question, we'll be at our tables all weekend. So come up and ask your question there. We'll have more time to chat there.
All right.
Enjoy the movie.
Go ahead. All right, before we get these guys out of here, I just wanted to say to Brad Dourif, your performance in The Exorcist 3 is one of the best performances I've ever seen in my life. Wow. And I just wanted to say that. You're amazing. Just had to say that.
All right, so everyone, let's first of all, real quick. Tomorrow night, 8:15, we're gonna do this again with Tom and the cast of Fright Night. So please come back. Everyone, thank you so much for being here this weekend.
Thank you guys for coming.
Enjoy